Okay, so I'm Liam Blackwell. I'm the ICT theme leader at EPSRC. So I look after the information communication technologies portfolio alongside John Baird, who looks after the digital economy portfolio. The remit really spans all those areas of the portfolio that are contributing to it being connected. So that includes maths, computer science, electronic engineering, photonics, communications, all the aspects of digital economy which are relating to how ICT is used in a transformational way, and so you have things like big data, you have things like Internet of things like autonomous systems and smart tools, those sorts of things, issues such as privacy and trust, and etc. Well, I think actually it's very interesting. I think, you know, if I may, if you just take an object out of your pocket, okay, today, and this is just the tip of the iceberg, really. You know, what gets forgotten often is this is a very obvious example, but everything from our power stations to our aeroplanes to our ships to the power generation network that's going on around us, to how the roads are managed. Almost everything now has a connected element. You know, even if that's just a GPS type element, all our food distribution. So the modern society is massively technological. Okay, and a lot of that technology is actually connecting things together, or is reliant on that connectivity. You know, it's unimaginable now to think in terms of us doing our shopping, having our pay, getting things in the shops. That actually supplies not just doing the shopping, but the stuff actually being there. Okay, understanding what's going on in the world without a degree of connectivity. So I think some of the interesting research I've seen is all the stuff around emotional awareness and detection. Things which are trying to understand how people are actually thinking and behaving. I mean, if people think in terms of autonomous systems of the future, where they're robots in the home, or your interface with some sort of health provider that's assisted by some computerized technology. You know, things that start to understand what you're thinking and feeling. Okay, I think that's really exciting stuff, actually. Things that help with that is quite interesting. Because actually, when people think about the Internet of Things, it's very easy to forget that that's as part of a dynamic that goes on. So you think about big data, and you think of smart tools, whether it's autonomous systems like driverless cars, and connectivity becomes really quite interesting and exciting. Okay, so the next big thing, I think, is more device-to-device and machine-to-machine communication. Okay. People mentioned earlier about the floods in Lancashire. Okay, and the idea that with one subsystem going down, we couldn't get tweets and mobile phone signals. Well, actually, that's interesting. If people's phones were able to communicate directly to one another, okay, and via cars and road networks, some of those systems have their own power. They either have batteries or have internal combustion engines or battery-powered electric cars. You can imagine a sequence of signals going up the M6, okay, and then whatever the next A road is, because I can't remember the number, right into the Lake District. And then you have a situation where people have got connectivity. Now, it might not last days because of batteries, but at the moment, there's nothing, okay? And so people, this sort of connectivity we get, it has all sorts of areas that it can open up, right from gaining data for sort of like health records from devices that you might have in the home, right through to extra resilience in the network, which is not to do with having power straight from the wall. It can be because it's connected to other systems which have their own power or temporary power. And I think that's the sort of thing we'll start to see with these sorts of developments in this area. I think one thing that is important actually is that, and Phil Nelson, our CEO, referred to this earlier in terms of the resilient nation and a productive nation. Having a connected nation actually enables all the rest. We won't have a resilient nation that doesn't have connectivity and doesn't exploit it, as well as deal with the issues of when it falls over as well. We have to be realistic. It can fall over. So issues around connected nation contribute to us being resilient. They also potentially allow us to be more productive in future. We're actually much more productive now than we were because of computers in the workplace, in every workplace, in fact, because we don't have to spend lots of time sending pieces of paper in memos and writing letters in triplicate. Equally, health. you know, there are lots of issues now in health that are actually quite difficult to deal with in traditional ways. And connectivity allows us to sort of really get the most out of technologies that we have now and potentially open up new pathways for treatment. So I think actually it's an enabler and a sort of underpinning technologies in the space for all of the nations.